I feel like our whole podcast career has been leading up to this moment.
Yeah, if not our whole lives, frankly. Those hinges.
Elsinges. Um, I'm a little excited to talk about it.
Oh, well, that's okay. I mean, a little excitement, it never hurt anybody. It's probably good because usually we're so like kind of reserved. It'll be nice to kind of add a little personality to the show, you know?
That's so true. I mean, very, very rarely do we show any expression or,
It's kind of not our thing, but for the fans, this time we will. Hee hee hee.
How was your day?
Pretty good.
Bert? Get through the dumb formalities.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm fine. It was the first day of the semester. Whatever. How are you?
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I mean, it's the same as every other first day of the semester, but yeah. How's your day?
It's a 10 out of 10 right now because we're talking about Hell's Hinges.
Hmm.
Um, but my car did do this weird thing when I was driving into work. You ready?
Oh,
Playing fetch with me. This is awesome. You get to catch it on camera. Go get it.
it's beautiful.
Yeah. Um, I was driving into work and I accelerated over 20 miles per hour, and my
Hmm.
car did this like hiccup, stuttering cough. It was like, and a big old warning light started flashing, and I was, ah!
Oh.
Anyway, in Virginia, which is
Mm.
basically
Which is
suicide.
the best place to do it. Hee.
And I called my dad because what are you supposed to do? Like,
Right.
you got to call your parents. I called him. Was not awake, so I woke him up to talk to me about this.
Oh,
And
because of how you live in a different time zone, and it
yeah,
was
and
in the
how it's
morning.
so early. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, reasons. So, except for the car thing, my day, like, it would, if not for that, it would have been a 12 out of 10. But that it took a few points off.
Oh, I
Not
see. So it docked points, but they were like extra credit points.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Okay.
still like,
Nice.
yeah.
Well,
I'm. It's.
yay. That's such good news.
I
Last
know.
time we talked, you were like, this is the worst day that's ever happened to any person. So I'm glad this is like a better time.
It was. It was the worst day that had ever happened. But yeah, no, we're past that. Um, darkest part of the night comes right before the dawn, right? Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
Yeah. I was
A rose looks gray at midnight, but the flame is just asleep.
I was so at work. I had a lot to do today. It was really busy, and I didn't have enough time to sit down and write out my notes for Hell's Hinges until about 5 o'clock. And I was like, perfect. It's an
Uh-huh.
hour. I have an hour. I'll do that. And that was the hour that my coworker Jen, who I get along really well with, and I really enjoy her company, and I consider us to be friends, and coworkers. It's not just a
Uh-huh.
coworker situation. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, we're
yeah.
my
You'd
friend from
you'd
work.
like her
Yeah.
outside of the work situation in which you were obligated to like her. Yeah, yeah, I get it.
And that was the hour of the day that she decided, let's chat. I mean, we were chatting a little bit before throughout the day, but that was the one where it was like,
Hmm. She's like
let's
sat you down. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I so enjoy you, and I really want to talk. The thing is, though, is this is the most important thing in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna like. I didn't even like. I've been so busy. I made dinner 20 minutes ago and I didn't eat it because I've been so focused on this because I wanted to get through the
Like
whole
Hell's
movie.
Hinges.
Hills.
Yeah.
Yes. I've literally been giddy. I woke up this morning and this was the first thought. And can I just say, and I hope this doesn't sound insane, it's going to. This is the first time in months that I've woken up and the first thing that I thought about was not the fact that I got such a bad grade on that paper. You remember that? Way back in
Oh yeah,
February?
kind of vaguely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the better part of the year ago, yeah. hmm
oh, you know what I did not do?
The acronym?
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely thought about it several times and was like, well, I don't know. I'll just do it later. And now here we are. And I didn't do it.
I'm my brain is cooking.
Okay.
And I have the first two letters. So if you can take
Okay.
the, I
I'll
have
try.
Silk
Silk for
and
Silk Miller. That's his name.
name. That's his name. That's his name.
Yeah, he's named that. And some of the characters, they'll have like Blaze Tracy is like Blaze, or like the guy named Arizona, that's Arizona, so it's obviously a nickname. His name is Silk Miller. That's his name. They just call that's his name. Like Christian name. It's on his birth certificate. Crazy. Yeah, Silk.
Insane. That's yeah, Silk. And then Blaze Tracy, I figured could be T.
Plays Tracy. Yeah. I think that's one that I thought of too. But I didn't want to do like Tracy, comma Blake. I wanted to do like maybe like one of the names in parentheses. So it's either Blaze Tracy or like Blaze Tracy. Be like, this is
Oh,
it's the T, you know?
yeah,
Because Tracy, comma Blaze, that's so formal.
yeah. And that's
Yeah.
he's not.
No, 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 no. He may embody both the very best and the very worst of the Old West, but he's not gonna do a last name, comma first name, okay?
No, sir.
No,
No.
sir.
Off his hat when he sees a lady, and he will offer politely to walk her home. But, comma,
Uh,
I'm going to go insane. I watched this movie 1,000 times, and watching it again today, I was like, I'm probably gonna be okay. I'm probably gonna be cool about it. You know?
yeah. No.
No, no.
No.
I Tracy should be in parentheses because his name is Blaze.
His name's Blaze. That's his
His name is
name.
Blaze.
Okay?
So I watched I don't know, this guy comes up on my YouTube shorts every now and then. And he did a short film thing through YouTube shorts called Minecraft Through the Mob's Perspective.
hmm
Pretty good. It's what I was hoping the Minecraft movie would be like. Um,
Ah.
yeah, I should learn not to have hopes. But one of the shorts is him. He's like, "Hey, what's up? I'm a Blaze Rod. My name is Blaze." People are like, "Blaze, why are you named Blaze if you're a Blaze Rod?" He's like, "Think of a cooler name than Blaze and then get back to me, okay?" And that's I thought about that literally the
True.
whole time. Yeah, right?
Think of a cooler name than Blaze and get back to me. Yeah.
So I can send you that link, and if you could insert that clip here or
Yeah,
wherever.
sure.
You can do it earlier or
I'll just
later if you like.
anytime I'm like, mm. Just interrupt what you're saying with Minecraft video.
The other thought that I had, and this is stupid, but it's is just her name is F, and then you could just like pretend there's a line at the bottom. Yeah, with a big red mark, like in Embers the Groove.
Women in STEM. I feel like no. Yeah, her name's Yaith.
Think of a cooler name than Eighth and get back to me.
Yeah, good luck. Hmm. I am trying to think of a word that's like charlatan, but that starts with an M. That would be nice, because then that could be the brother who doesn't have an M in all of his names.
No.
Or we could just call him Robert.
I don't know. The word that came to mind was murder.
Murder. There's murder.
There's a little bit,
Yeah.
not as much as you might hope or expect going into an old western.
hmm But it's
But like,
similar to like Samurai Rebellion, where like by the name you're like, oh my gosh, thousands of
Yeah.
people are going to die. And then it's actually the
Yeah.
story of like these three people, right?
Yeah.
Think about that. A lot of similarities there.
Oh, I've got it. The scripture that Blaze Tracey, because his name is Blaze,
Yeah,
his name is
yeah,
Blaze.
yeah,
The
yeah.
scripture is Matthew 21:22.
It's Matthew. Oh, yes. We have done it again.
When will we stop winning? It's exhausting.
Now, what do you think? I mean, what must it be like to not have revelation upon revelation every single day and be correct about everything all the time?
I wouldn't know.
It's hard to even imagine. I've had these phrases like swirling around in my mind. They're not sentences. They're just like little clips of like if you were watching a trailer, they don't show the whole scene. They just show like, you know. So it's like, yeah, a charlatan priest who doesn't actually believe in God.
Yeah, you've been
Intriguing,
making
you know.
you've been making Hell's Hinges like fan edits.
I have been
past
making
couple
trailers. I have been making
Yeah, it makes sense.
a
Mhm.
church ablaze,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, basically, the name of the town isn't actually Hell's Hinges, but it's called Hell's Hinges because it's known to be like a despicable place that it's like once you're there, you're basically in the doorway of hell, right? It's like on its hinges, you see, you understand the thing?
I've written down a couple of thoughts here,
Okay.
if you don't mind. Hell's Hinges is described as a good place to wide ride of, gunfighting, man killing, devil's den of iniquity that scorched even the sun parched soil on which it stands.
Mm-hmm. See, cowboy movies are poetic. Nobody talks about that, but it's true.
I started writing down literally every line. I was like, that is sick as hell.
Yeah, every
And
time they
had to
have like the
stop.
text come up on the screen, you just have to like screenshot it or something. You're like, I have to like
Yeah.
every single one of them. You're like, oh, okay. How intriguing.
I've screenshotted most of them, so we'll read them as this. You want me to?
Sure.
Okay. Then fell the purple shadows of the western night, with the peace of the silver stars above, and the fires of hate and evil flaring redly below. Not readily, redly.
Redly, like in a red way.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's so colorful. It's awesome.
This one's really good too. And then from the mothering sky came the baby dawn, singing as it wreathed the gray horns of the mountains with ribbons of rose and gold. Literally, shut up.
Yeah.
And then you're just supposed to focus on the movie after that? Like that line?
Then you're just supposed to like go about your day as if you didn't just like read the most beautiful words coined in humanity's history. Yeah.
Those are just like, okay, moving on.
These are their like stage directions. You know what I mean? Like they're just there.
Yeah. All of the intertitles are like what you would read in a like a screenplay today.
Yeah.
Or like, so we have Robert Henley.
Mm-hmm. Reverend Robert Henley.
Yes, he is a preacher, but he really doesn't believe the things he's teaching. He just likes the attention.
And he was appointed as a preacher by like his mother had like influence with people in the church back home, and she was like, so he got the gig, but he loves the attention and he doesn't actually love the gospel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. His sister, on the other hand, her name is
Faith. And so I was like thinking about, I was like, it's interesting that the main character is Faith, and like not in a heady way, like the concept of faith, the character Faith, but then also in a heady way, the concept of Faith is the main character.
Yes.
Both are true.
This movie is literally like not trying to be subtle in any way. And I'm so here for it, but also it is. And like how they had because
they can do
film.
both.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mr. William S. Hart, who directed this and starred in it, by the way. Well, like indirectly, he made the movie. He didn't get a credited role as director, but like he made the movie. You know what I mean?
Right. One of those leads who's like, okay, I know what to do.
Yeah, like how Tom Cruise produces Mission Impossible movies, but even more hands-on. Anyway, so Faith. Faith is a true believer. She loves God and she loves the gospel, and she decides to move with her brother Bob to his new assignment as the pastor of a tiny little fledgling congregation out in the Wild West.
Mhm. It's
Where
very like death comes for the archbishop type situation, right? Where he's like in this kind of established place, and then he has to travel across the desert and visit the sick and needy and whatever. And in his mind, he's like, I hear there's hot babes out west.
yes.
And so he's like, okay, I accept the mission. But then his sister, I think, can read his mind, I'm pretty sure.
I think
So she comes up behind him and she's like, and I'll go to help you get settled in.
And she right at the camera, like,
she has a almost Shibagami stare.
Very, very
She was the predecessor. Like she walked so Shibagami could run. Like she has like a look, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they move out to the town, and a like he's not a world weary, but like a cynical cowboy meets her and then is like, oh no, maybe there is something to believe in. And then the town tries to corrupt Robert Henley, the pastor.
This is because there's two guys in town who kind of run the whole place, and one of them's Silk Miller.
One of them, his name is Silk. Yeah.
No one's friend and no one's open enemy. Ooh. What a brief, like succinct way to say everything you need to say about that guy. And his name is Silk Miller.
His name is Silk.
Everyone give it up for Silk. That's his name.
He literally walks around on screen like he looks so evil.
Yeah.
Like I love that.
He's leaning into it. Everyone in the town knows that he's evil. Nobody likes him, but there's nothing they can do. So he's like, okay, I'll just lean into it.
He's no man's open enemy.
And then there's Blaze Tracey, who is like, as I said, the very best and the very worst of the Old West. Blah blah blah. Blah. Shoot first, ask questions later. Blah blah blah. And they don't agree on anything except let's be a lawless and godless town.
Yep.
Yay.
No law or religion will ever come to Hell's Hinges.
Which ends up a prophecy, but we'll get to that. So, so Robert and Faith get to town, and Silk is like, "Hey, Blaze, better go, welcome them in."
Oh, I'm not gonna shoot him. I bet that's a sin. Ooh, I'll just scare him to death.
Okay. Why aren't more people watching westerns? Hello?
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. So he goes out and he like sees the priest and he's like, whatever. Sees the sister and is like, oh my gosh, wait. It's described as one who is evil looking for the first time upon that which is good.
That's what it says. He's like the inner title card. And this is what he does. He stares at her for so long, and then he's like, he looks like he's gonna cry, by the way. That's important to note. Very tough looking man. And he's like,
welcome to town.
Shakes her hand and then walks away so fast.
He's having his first crush and he's like, I don't know what to do. Mom, come get me. I'm scared.
I'm so scared. Okay, going back to the
incredible.
It's so good. Listen, one of my least favorite tropes is love at first sight. It drives me insane. I hate it. I feel like it's almost never done well, except for Claire Danes, Romeo and Juliet, and this scene. 2 times in history. That's it. Through the fish tank. And then the
so it seems every 50 years ending with a 6. By 50 I mean 80.
Wasn't even gonna
I saw it as this shape in my head, but I said at this shape instead. I don't know why. You can make, I'm saying every 80 years ending at a 6, you can make a movie where people fall in love at first sight and it works.
Yes.
That's it.
That's
And it's crazy how like he has like a level of respect for her. Like it's not just like, oh, she's so hot. It's like
one who was evil looking for her upon that, which is good.
if she believes this, then there must be something to it, right? He's like, well, she's like a rational person and she's a good person. I can see that she's good. So therefore, like, what's making her rational and good that isn't in her brother because he doesn't believe it? There must be something worth believing. Immediately, this is his thought process.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, that's fine.
Yeah, it literally
It's not a
doesn't
big
even
deal.
matter. It's just a
No, so like,
movie.
stop talking about it. It's like literally only a movie. Okay. Like, no, I have so many thoughts. I'm bottlenecking here. There's no way I'm going to be able to talk about them all because okay, here, I got this.
Okay, yeah, you got it.
I got it. It's fine. The line right before one who is evil looking upon that which is good.
That which is good. Not one who is good, by the way, but that which is good.
Is good.
The embodiment of it.
And
okay, fine, sure.
Her name is Faith.
Mm-hmm.
She is that which is good, and that's fine. The line before that is a different kind of smile, one that seems to say, "How do you do, friend?" And I have thought about this for years, and I go back and forth on who that
it's
is
describing?
referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
yeah.
go insane for that because he takes a puff from his cigarette and looks at her and is like, smirks a little bit. And we know his deal.
His usual
right
vibe,
now.
He would take a puff and smirk and then like shoot you. You know what I mean? He's like, this is the last face you see before you die. But in this case, it's like, is it a little softer, maybe?
Maybe a little bit. He's like, no, pretty gal, no big. And she doesn't know him. She doesn't know his history and his reputation. And she reaches out to him with relief and says, how do you do? And just smiles so genuinely. And that's when the alarm bells start blaring. Oh no. He's like, oh
no.
Oh dear, oh no.
If somebody's here who doesn't know me as Blaze Tracey, I could be anybody. Oh no.
And she's a really good person, and she's looking at me like she thinks I am too.
And she's so nice. I don't want to disappoint her.
Yeah, I do. I want to be that kind of man. And then he walks away. He's like, he throws his hat on the ground and he pouts. He's like, ah. No, he's like, that's not even a big deal. It's like not even a big deal. I don't even care about her. It's like,
I'm like
whatever.
not even thinking about it. He's like Evie in The Mummy being like, it wasn't even that good of a kiss. Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's fine. That's so okay. Like really okay. But like I go back and forth on which one I prefer it referring to. Like, yeah, it's just it's that type of ambiguity, and like you wouldn't get that in a modern movie. This is what I love about silent films, is because
sometimes you just have to state it.
Yes. And I love the voice of the narrator too for the entire film. It's this kind of omniscient presence, which is fitting in a very religious film. And almost every time it talks about Robert Henley, the pastor, it does so with a voice of disdain. He calls him the weakling, the like pathetic soul, all of these things that are just like
no spine, no bitches, like
a weak and selfish youth, utterly unfit for the calling that a devout and love-blinded mother has persuaded him to follow. He has no substance at all, and the narrator makes this very clear in the title cards, and I love that. This is one of those things. Silent films are almost an entirely different medium to me than it's closer to a graphic novel actually than this. A silent film is a really good translation of a graphic novel to a film, because you get both the written and artistic expression, which you don't like. They both have their strengths in very different ways, but it's just really, really cool to see them blended in such a delicate way, where sometimes things just need to be said, and other times no, they don't. Like One Who Is Evil looking for the first time upon that which is good, but that's the only insight into Blaze's thoughts that we get.
Yeah. For
We
pretty much
just
the whole
get
time. The rest of it is carried in his acting. Whereas
yes,
like
and oh boy, does he
with
carry
the
it.
Reverend who isn't sincere, you get a lot more of this, like the title cards
Yes.
coming up and explaining what he's thinking.
Yes, because he's
Interesting.
selfish and
Yep.
snivelly a little bit. Another
Yeah,
interesting
and he
fact
just
about
loves the attention.
he
It's like
just
people are
loves it.
flocking to me. They love me.
And you
Rather
just
than people
know
are flocking to the church because they love learning morals. They love learning about goodness. They love learning about God, right?
yes, this
This
guy
movie
would have
should
been
be so famous. Why is anyone talking about any other movie yet?
Found out that this movie was committed to the what museum?
the museum, the art museum, the Museum of Art. You know,
Where they kept
the
Rainbow.
museum.
Oh, this is fun too. It's banned in Canada. Isn't that fun? Suck on that, Canada. You don't get this one.
If only this were
Modern Art.
sponsored by a VPN, maybe you could watch it, but it isn't, so you can't. Get wrecked. That's such a funny place to be banned. Canada?
For what?
Like of all places.
It's not even like there are things that should be banned in Canada. There are things that should be banned
Rake.
everywhere. What?
Like Drake, because he's from Canada.
Oh my gosh!
What did you said?
I thought you said grape.
What?
The fruit? The flavor?
Just grape. They shouldn't be allowed to eat grapes in Canada. That's freaky.
It's grape.
No more grapes.
This is literally so dumb. It's fine. Robert Henley, the parson. One thing I noticed is throughout the entire film, they don't show you what he's saying for his sermons. Never once.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of other
They
shots.
show him
They do a lot of
talking and
other-
talking
and gesticulating and
yeah,
like they never tell you what he's saying because it doesn't matter. It's empty. He's not saying anything. He's just making sounds. And then his sister Faith gets up. Well, okay, another thing too I should mention is oh my gosh. Okay. It's fine. This movie's only an hour long, but I feel like we've got to talk about every single detail.
Yeah.
Or else.
This is going to be the shortest movie that we watch on the channel and probably the one that we have the most to say about.
Yes.
Because it's honestly, it is a masterclass in like saying a lot with very little.
Yes.
It's 1 hour total, the whole thing. And you feel like you come out of it a changed person.
Yes. Okay.
It's incredible.
Okay, so let's set the scene.
Here's the backstory of why we know this movie and why we care about it so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Picture this.
Before we get too far.
You are a 22-year-old person.
Okay.
You are in an extreme episode of depression.
That makes sense.
You've never gone through this before, and you're like, wow, everything's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. But your roommate works at your school's film department, and they're putting on a silent film thing. So you go because she's helping with it, and you might as well support her. And you get there, and you find out they're doing silent films with soundtracks, because back in the day, silent films didn't have a set soundtrack. They just had a live band in the theaters that would just play
something that fits,
some pieces,
which is fun because then it's a little bit different every time. Like I love the improvisational aspect of it, and it is very, like you say, like silent films are separate from movies. Like that's not even the same thing, because there is so like there's so many different things that you have to do with the film itself, what it looks like, and like the improvisational aspect of the music. It's different. It's separate. You know, he's so cute.
Yeah, he's so cute. Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of a different experience for everybody, and sometimes the soundtracks don't really fit all that well. And so these students, for a project in one of their classes, they picked soundtracks for certain silent films. We watched 3 or 4, and they were all about 10 minutes long. And they all picked like royalty-free instrumental music to go along. We had a couple Charlie Chaplin ones, a Buster Keaton one, like it was fun, but
The
nothing.
kind of standard when you think of like an old silent film, you're thinking of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton.
Yeah. And then the finale to the night, the instructor got back up and he's like, okay, now for the main act. And
that was pre-show.
That was yeah, this is the reason that we're all here, and I mean on Earth. Yeah. The student for this film had chosen, instead of instrumentals, she's like, what if we do like indie music? So she picked a selection of Lord Huron songs, of Monsters and Men, Barnes Courtney, and she's like, let's see what this does to it. And when I tell you, that experience was transcendental, it changed my life. I mean that, and I'm not even the slightest bit joking. I genuinely was at the worst part of my whole life, and then I saw this movie on the big screen with Lord Huron's Way Out There playing. What was I supposed to do? I was like, oh my gosh, God is real. He does love me. Life is worth living. I will never stop talking about this movie. And I hadn't. And so I talked about it without ceasing for years. And then
because I remember getting the text like immediately as soon as you were out of the theater. You're like, I have to tell you about a movie that I just saw. It was incredible. I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And it sounded like, because it was a student thing, and especially because they had used like copyrighted music, so you can't upload it anywhere. It sounded like it was just a one and done.
No, because I tried. I went up and I talked to the guy after. I was like, please, I'm begging you. You got to send me this. And he's like, I can't. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I was like, I understand.
So we're thinking all hope is lost. I'm thinking she's gonna have it in her head forever, and I'll never be able to see it because just for legal reasons, it's copyrighted music. We can't be distributing it, right?
Yeah.
Then the next year they showed it again, and I went down.
It was a couple years later.
So it's an even longer time to think all hope is lost. We're never going to see this movie again.
Yeah. And we didn't even know. So Olivia was already in town, and I was like, well, they're doing the silent film thing again. We might as well go.
It was super cool last time, and I would like, even if they weren't showing this, it's fun to see what the students come up with. It's fun to watch like a different variety of things. And it seemed like there was a different variety. Like, do you remember that one where they added like the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah.
Soundtrack to it. So funny.
A lot of good. Yeah. And the Frankenstein one that pissed me off because Thomas Edison produced it and he ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and I are going to have words in the afterlife. But I probably have to get in line. Anyway, so we're sitting there, and there's a few new ones, but some that I remember, and I was like, Olivia, I think
I remember this one.
Yeah. And then he pulls up, like, he's got his computer on the projector screen, so you can see his
little files.
Yeah. And I see the very last file in the little folder, Hell's Hinges. And I smacked.
We're elbowing each other.
I was like, oh my gosh,
do you see that?
Vibrating. I was so excited. I was so excited.
And it was the same one. And this time I didn't know that you were doing it and you didn't know that I was doing it, but we both separately throughout the movie kept track of what songs were playing so that we could recreate it later, since it's not legal to distribute it, but you can just make it yourself. Because the movie's from 1916, anybody can use it.
It's in public domain.
So just the music, you just have to add yourself at home.
You can even watch the movie silently. You can mute it and then just put your headphones in and listen to the music if you time it right. That's important.
It's okay. It's allowed. You can do that.
There are no rules.
Nobody can stop you. It's a free country, baby.
Oh my gosh. It was the greatest. I genuinely...
Listen, if you've ever watched a movie and you felt like joyful, imagine that times 10. You're elated. You're like, this is genuinely the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And you get to share it with a friend. How beautiful.
It was amazing. It was even better because there was someone to share it with. And I had What's that one meme? From How to Train Your Dragon 2? You're as beautiful as the day I lost you. I'll do that. I'll make that. Because I never thought I'd see it again.
Yeah. And then there it was. That it was
Yeah,
beautiful. And she went up
was.
after and asked again, like, is there any way I could get a hold of that? And he was like, oh yeah, it's public domain.
Yeah. And I was like, but with the songs? And he's like,
Hmm. He's like, well, Lee, I mean, you can't show it. Like, you wouldn't be able
And I
to
was like,
post it on YouTube.
that's fine.
He's
I'm
like,
just
it's
gonna
okay.
keep it in my locket.
Just for me, please.
Yeah, I won't show anybody, but I need to have this on me
Please,
constantly.
so bad.
Yeah, and he emailed
Yeah.
it to me, and then I didn't open the link in time, and then it expired, and I didn't get that copy. But it's okay because we both kept
It's
track of
okay
the
because
time
we
and
had
the
the
songs.
music. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a playlist. If anybody wants to follow me on Spotify, you can listen to the Hells Angels playlist and watch it silent at the same time. And you'll basically recreate the experience. It's
The movie itself is a
everything.
masterpiece. It really genuinely is. But then hearing it with that specific soundtrack elevated it to
Mhm.
something like you can totally see how God put this plan into motion so that these two things would happen. He's like, this is gonna be sick. You guys are doing great work. But if William S. Hart were to see this movie with this soundtrack, he'd be like, you landed a rocket on the moon? No, but he'd lose his mind.
Yeah.
Because it really
Because
does.
it's finally fulfilled the measure of its creation, you could say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine though. Okay, so back to the movie. That's the background. You know the context for where we were at.
Yeah.
Seeing this, interpreting it, and now you all at home get to do the same.
You're welcome. It's
No
genuinely, we've said this, but I have to reiterate, one of the best films literally ever made.
Yes.
In human history, okay? Everything about it is beautiful.
Yeah. And fun. It is.
Yeah. You're having a good time the whole time. You can't get that feeling of elation at the end of a movie that's like not fun, you know?
Yeah, it's so good. This is one of my favorite moments when the two circles of fun and good intersect in a complete full circle.
So
and that's
perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, well, okay, let's get back to the plot because
okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, so Blaze Tracey has seen Faith and has decompressed like a dying star. He's like, oh,
that's crazy.
No. Oh dear, oh no. What do I do?
And again, Faith, we mean both literally the woman and figuratively. Every time. That's what it's gonna mean.
It's Sunday and they're going to church. And everyone at Silk's saloon, he owns the saloon in town, you see.
Of course.
Everyone's like, let's go down and hassle those people going to church. It'll be way fun. So they go down, they're shooting, they're throwing benches over, and Robert and Faith are
causing a ruckus. And by the way, when they first move in, there isn't a church building, there's just a barn
that does duty as the church.
Yeah,
that's what it says.
And so then they meet in the barn, and then over time their congregation like pools together to build a church building over the course of the movie.
Yeah, so for now they're in a barn, and Faith and Robert are standing holding each other up at the front, and they're
because he's incompetent. She's shielding him, to be clear.
Yeah, she is, absolutely. She's also 6 ounces tall. She's so tiny, but she's imposing, and not in like a girl boss kind of a way. In a like it's 1916, so it's in a more demure way, but very powerful still. She's holding him, but she looks so angry.
Yeah,
so angry.
If you look her in the eyes, you'll die.
You will. Yeah. Unless she looks at you with a different kind of smile, one that seems to say, how do you do, friend? Maybe. But she's not looking at them with that kind of smile. She's there's fire in her eyes. And Blaze Tracey hears about the ruckus going on down at the barn that does duty as church. And he's kind of listening at the door, and he's like, those fellas, they're having their time. They're having the time of their lives. That's awesome. And Robert, because again, he's useless, empathetic, a weak, whiny little bitch. He
That's the title
collapses
card.
at the
It says
pulpit,
that in the movie.
and it says that. Yeah.
In
That was why it was so
1916, you say
controversial when
they
it came
didn't say
out.
words like that. They did.
They were like, we don't have language to fully express
That's when the
what
word
this
was
guy
invented.
is. Yeah. They're like, ugh.
Not a lot of people know that, but it's true.
Yeah. So he, being what he is, he puts his head down on his desk and pouts like this. And you're like, dude.
He gives up
First
so
of all,
easily.
all the time. He's pathetic. And Faith stands up and just starts praying. That's all. She's not yelling at them. She just prays, and we don't know exactly what she says, but as she's praying, we see like the visual overlay of waves on a beach and a cross with a woman holding the cross. And that's enough. And we see
Blaze Tracey is impacted by this from outside.
Her voice carries over the din and the chaos in the church.
What a beautiful thing. And he like stops in his tracks, and genuinely he gets this like a look on his face that's reverent for the first time he's ever been reverent about anything in his life.
Yeah. And
he turns around and steps into the barn. Like he's like, I gotta go investigate in a different way than it was before, where he's like, I'm gonna see what they're up to. He. And now he's like,
oh no, I'm feeling.
What is this?
And all of the people causing the ruckus, they're like, let's go dance with the pastor's sister. Whoever can dance with her first wins. And Blaze Tracey goes, no! And he's
like, if you lay a hand on her, I will kill you. So hard.
Several times. Yeah. I will kill you. I'll bring you back. I'll shoot you again, and I'll make it hurt every damn time. He's got 2 guns.
He could do it because you remember from before. That's been his whole policy, his whole life is like shoot first, you know.
Do your disputing afterwards. He's got his guns. He is everybody out of the building. Silk and Dolly. Dolly is
she's one of the dance hall women.
Yeah,
and she's kind of in cahoots with Silk.
Yeah, and she's kind of I love her.
She's so cool.
She's pretty sick.
She's awesome.
She's so
and I know
cool.
we're gonna be a lot of this. It is a very religious movie. We're gonna be preaching a lot about like goodness and morality and faith, but also separately, she's so cool.
She rocks.
She's awesome. Wow,
girl boss. Yeah, she's so cool. She's so cool. And this scene, oh my gosh, is just Blaze Tracey and Silk standing looking at each other like, and then Blaze Tracey kind of turns around and walks towards the pulpit, and then Dolly drags Silk out of the doors, and there's like this separation, and like, you know, that's fine. That doesn't mean anything, and I didn't rewatch that scene like 5 times because
it's just fine. There's no symbolism here. It's only a movie.
Only a movie. Yeah. You know, different in every way, but agreeing in the one way, and you know, finally going separate directions, and that's okay. It's fine. So Blaze Tracey goes in. He sits down in front of the pulpit, right in front of, and he looks like he takes his hat off, and he's holding it. Whoa.
He's showing respect, my friend.
Yeah. But his face is this.
Because he's not sure about it, you know?
Yeah. But he's also not overly mean, but that is just the way that his face looks.
He has RBF. It's fine.
He does. Yes.
So he goes up. They've kind of gotten things settled. Reverend Henley has started to, you know, give his little speeches again. He's giving him the old razzle dazzle. And Blaze is like, okay. I mean, I guess like he doesn't seem super affected by it, but of course nobody does because he's lying.
He doesn't mean
even if he was saying something that was true, if he didn't believe it, he was lying, right?
Yes. This is what the title card says, and it is maybe my favorite line in the movie. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. And at the close of the sermon, period. Unmoved. And it's just the same shot before and after of Blaze Tracy going like, and that is hysterical to me because that reads like a drill tweet. At the close of the sermon.
At the close of the sermon, unmoved.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I love
Didn't really
it's
affect
so
me.
funny.
And it's another one that can be true about Blaze and about the Reverend.
Yeah.
Neither of them
Yeah.
care. I love that this movie is
No.
doing two things every time it does something. Your fave could never.
No, this is what we're talking about with the it's subtle and overt at the same time because
Mhm.
it's so artfully done. Everything is so careful that her name is Faith and she represents faith and goodness and belief in God and the gospel. That's her
Mhm.
character, that's her role. But also you have lines like that. You have
Yeah.
lines like, how do you do, friend? The smile. That could mean how do you do
Yeah,
all
it could
of
be
these
for
things.
either one of them.
Yes, this whole movie is a poem. It makes me sick to my stomach.
It's disgusting. Ugh,
Gross.
imagine caring about stuff and like making art out of something that's supposed to be just a story.
Cody's, I don't like it. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, at the end
Yeah.
of the sermon, period. Unmoved, period.
He puts his
And then
head
Faith
down.
is like, I'll just give us a closing prayer.
She says, I just want to
But it
remind everybody
believes
that
her. Because she
It
has
believes her.
conviction.
She believes it. This is like Robert goes on such a long-winded, like practiced, rehearsed sermon with words
He's
that don't belong
probably
to
up there
him.
for 2 full hours. No
He almost
choir.
certainly is.
It's just him the
You-
whole time.
You
Ugh.
know, if this man existed today, he'd be an NFT
He's
bro.
Joel
He'd have
Osteen.
his own podcast. He's
Both
so
options are
gross.
bad. He's either running a mega church or he's running an unpopular podcast. Either way, it's like, get some
Boo.
backbone, get some actual
Yeah.
belief.
Yes, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
He sits there and he's pouting because
He's
Blake
just
Tracy
talking
has no reaction.
Because church is a popularity contest. We all know that.
Absolutely.
He's gonna win.
Something both
Anyway, so
normal
then
and possible
Faith,
to achieve. She gets up.
She gets
and
up
says,
and she believes, and so people believe her.
all she says is, I just want to say God loves us and wants us to come to him. That's all she says. Yeah. And then Blaze Tracy is like,
it's a short and sweet.
No.
And then like not a dry eye in the chapel / barn, basically.
Yeah. It's like literally like it's so okay. So we were both missionaries. That's actually how we met. I don't know if you knew that. If you remember. So we
oh my gosh, that's where I know you from.
all coming together,
That's
baby.
Crazy.
Something that we like practiced and we're told is the way to be an effective missionary is to know the material well enough that you know that you believe it, and also that you are prepared to talk about it at any point so that the Holy Ghost can talk through you, because it's never really you. You have very little to do with what is going on there, whether or not like you believe in God.
I think it's true in a lot of ways. Like if people can tell that you are sincere and that whatever you're talking about is coming up naturally and simply, people will be much more receptive to it in their heart rather than just in their like, oh, this is so fun to listen to. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like a really moving performance, you could be like, wow, that guy's like a serious actor.
Yeah.
But it only matters if there's something like real in what he's doing. You know, it's like it's not just a performance, but he's like an actor who believes it, you know?
Yes. This is why I think Jordan Peele films are so effective, is because at the heart of all of them is a very real, like Nope. Nope is a very cutting criticism about Hollywood and the exhibitionist lifestyle that feels like everybody has these days. Is like we're constantly viewing things and we're constantly being viewed. That's the film is so effective because there is something that Jordan Peele and presumably the cast cares so deeply about.
Yeah.
So
because they're saying something real. It's not just like a fun story about aliens. It like matters.
Yes, exactly. And
So
it is a
Faith
fun
gets
story
up.
about aliens too. It's both,
It's
baby.
both. It's like Spaceman by the Killers. Yeah, it's both things. So Faith
Olivia
gets up,
texted me
she
this
says
week.
like
Oh, sorry.
she says 2 sentences and brings the house down because it's real. That's
Yeah.
the point. Like something that's simple and sincere is better than something that's just words with no substance, right? And everyone
Yes.
knows that. So Blaze Tracy is like, oh, uh-oh, maybe I am moved by this.
Do you know what he says? Can I read what he says?
Yes, please.
He says, "When I look at you, I fear I've been riding the wrong trail." What he says before that, he's like, "I don't think God would want me much, but when I look at you, I fear I've been riding the wrong trail." So, okay.
Mhm.
Faith is
So it's
like,
immediately, he's like, yeah, I know God is real. Right, that's not the question. The question is like,
why would he want
well,
me?
why would he want me? But I can
But
see
if
that he definitely wants you.
and if
Don't we all?
you if
It's
this is the kind of
incredible.
path that people like you are on, then that's where I need to be because I need to be by you. So she
Okay.
hears this and is like, she kneels down immediately
Let's all pray.
because let's all pray because she's got to A, break eye contact, and her knees gave out just then. Her knees gave out. I would just like to say, if a man said that to me, look at me in the eyes, I would vomit. I would throw up. I can't stand that. You know, what a thing to say to someone. He's looking right at her. By the way, she is again 6 ounces tall. And I don't know how they like. I don't know. She's at the front of the barn. He's down a level because she's up a step, and somehow they're exactly eye level with each other. So they're locked in with each
Yeah.
other.
And everyone
And
else is
he
there
says
too.
that. Yeah.
Like he says that to her in
Like,
public at church.
by the way, Brigham Young is also there. That's crazy. You know that guy?
It's actual Brigham Young, the second president of the Restored Church. He's there. That's him. He did a brief stint as an actor in Hollywood. And that's him for real.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Trivia. The things you
Such a
learn.
small world. Yeah, not a lot of people know that, but it is true. I've never lied on
Yeah.
this channel.
No, we're real doctors you can trust. How many times are we going to have to say it?
Gosh. Actual women, yes. Actual STEM, yes. Hello?
One thing after another, baby. Okay. My gosh.
Anyway,
That scene.
I have to say there's a shot that I really like where he's sitting down and he slowly rises up until he's taller than everybody else in the congregation. And you've seen this shot a million times in a bunch of different movies. Because they were all inspired by this movie, baby. They were the first people to ever make a movie ever. Yeah. That's just a beautiful moment, is all I'm saying.
It is. And yeah, this film is the blueprint for everything I've ever believed in. And also should be the blueprint for every movie ever made from now on.
Yes. Because we can't rewrite all the movies that were made not following this in the past, but we can change the future.
Be the change you want to see in the world, and I want to see this every day for the rest of my life until I die.
Yeah. It's only 1 hour. So you're taking up that much of your time.
Yeah. The thing about this movie is too that I think would be difficult for me ordinarily is I tend to like listen to things more than I watch them. So like I have The Office on pretty much constantly when I'm cleaning or like at work when I'm not doing much. I have it in my ear, but I'm doing something else. I'm playing Sudoku or I'm like fiddling with I'm knitting or I'm cleaning, you know, I'm listening to the story, but I'm not watching it, especially after the first time I've seen it. This, like it being a silent film, you have to watch it. You have to be engaged. And that is
no. Sorry, I'm still single. Can I still watch it?
Ooh, fine, but you're on very, very dangerous ground.
Okay. Yeah, if you're single or married, ew, don't watch it. You have to be just engaged.
Engaged.
Just in between.
It's just, it is amazing that, like, my attention span is so limited. But for this movie, I really feel like I could just sit and watch it all day until I starved to death. And I would be okay with that. Yeah. Anyway.
Some people
So.
probably think that we like to exaggerate. That's a lie.
I do
We've
love.
never exaggerated about anything.
No, ever.
Anyway, basically, through the course of the movie, you see Blaze becoming more and more converted to like maybe there is some sort of like philosophical like truth in the world. And I could have it, like I could attain that. And then also he's like, do you want to walk home with me? She's like,
maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
And the height difference is ridiculous because again, she's so tiny and
She's
he's
so
tall.
tiny.
She barely comes up to his shoulder.
It's crazy because it wasn't like why everybody at that time was that height, you know? But it still seems like he's 8 feet tall in that shot where she takes his arm. You're like, how is he so gigantic? He isn't. He's probably like 5'11". It was made in the 1910s, you know what I mean? He's probably average height, but he seems so big and she seems so small. They did like a reverse Lord of the Rings. They made her stand 6 feet away from the camera. Like, how did they do that? She looks tiny.
It's incredible.
But then it's like a beautiful commentary on like, because at the time this was like the standard for men and women is that he's a protector and a provider, you know, so you kind of want like a big strong man to represent this like American ideal. And then to represent the American ideal woman,
femininity.
She's very feminine,
Well,
she's sweet, but she's also like very sure of herself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
very dignified.
Nice.
Yeah, and a lot of conviction. She's powerful beliefs. You can't hide from that.
Yeah.
So he walks her home.
No matter how 5 feet tall you are.
Nope. So he walks her home, and then they see Silk coming out of her and Robert's house, and she's very she's friendly with him. He's friendly with her. But then he walks past Blaze, and there's like that GIF of The Simpsons, you know, where this kid skating past the house, and Bart's inside, and they're like, it feels a lot of tension.
It's definitely that. Yeah, it is that.
Yes. Yeah. They don't talk to each other, but like
they don't have to.
Okay. No. Blaze says a lot with just his face.
He's very expressive. I think sometimes people don't like old movies or like black and white movies because you can't look at it and they're not doing anything. It's like boring. There's no colors. But like the amount of expression that these people have to have because the cameras aren't very sensitive and they don't pick up colors and small movements, you know, it's incredible. Like it's
so crazy.
He's
and the
so
body language
good.
This man would have 15
He has the most expressive eyes you've literally ever seen in your life.
Ever. I don't know how they did that. I can't make those expressions. I've tried. How did he do that? I think he surgically enhanced his eyes or something. I don't know. It's incredible.
He's like that picture, you know, with like the obviously edited eyes, and she's like, I was in an accident. He's like that, but for real.
But for real, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, ma'am, and she's like, oh, let me go. Actually, let me just pet your horse really quick. I'm just gonna. Oh, you're such a.
They're like stalling for time.
Inside. Yeah, and she's like hanging out the door when he walks away so slowly. He walks away so slowly, and she's just not closing the door. She's just watching him, and like,
and that's nice.
That's so sweet. It's just so like this. The movie. Okay, their relationship first bit is like sweet. Is the only word for it. It's just sweet. It's like first love.
Yeah.
Kind of just Like, can I walk you home, please? Yeah, I'll just good horse. You don't have to leave yet. Okay, bye. It's so just delicate and cute.
Yeah,
Um,
it's nice. And you know that
yeah.
she, as a very pious and like a little bit commanding, intimidating woman,
Yeah.
has likely never really experienced this before. And
Yeah.
he, as like a vagabond, you know, has also never experienced this before, but from the opposite direction. So they really are like, you know what I mean? It's worlds colliding, but like with a tiny little smooch. Like it's not a collision, you know? It's awesome. It's so lovely.
Yeah, that's so true. So Silk was visiting Robert to invite him to come give a sermon to the dance hall girls sometime. I'm sure they'd love to hear you speak. And he's like, hell
Mhm.
yeah, baby, because he's a
It's
whore.
like, I would love for them to hear me speak too. Because again, you remember his vision, his imagination of what his mission would be like is like, ooh, all the pretty ladies, they love me, right? So he's like, my dream is coming true. He could
Yeah.
not be more excited. But Silk and Dolly have hatched a plan to incriminate the pastor so they can run him out of town and like take down the church, which is becoming more and more established as time goes on, right?
Yeah.
So he goes, he preaches to the dance hall girls, and they all like don't really care, but they're giving him the eyes. You know, Dolly has her little fan because she's the coolest person in the
She's so
world.
cool. She's got so much eyeliner on. She's got the tiniest little cigarette. It's so small. I
It's
don't
a
know how
like
they did that.
cigarette-ette. How
It's
did they do
like
that?
it's like the size of a lollipop
Like a
stick.
lollipop stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
thin, but it's not one of those that's like in a cigarette holder, so it's like long and elegant. It's just
Mm-mm.
regular, but it just looks
Just
so tiny.
really little. Yeah.
It's
I
just a
love it.
it's a lady's cigarette.
A cigarette at I just absorbed. That's really funny.
Yeah, so anyway, she like comes up to him after the sermon and she's like, "Wow, Reverend, that was such a beautiful speech. Come on," you know, she offers him some hospitality back at her place, you know, I would love to talk to you more about the Bible or something. Just over some snacks, maybe a drink, you know, and he's like, okay. And so they go, and like he like literally is walking to her house and keeps like stopping to look to see if Faith is watching. Because of
Yeah.
course she'd be on him like a
Yeah.
hawk because she knows that he's up to no good.
Because she doesn't trust him. She knows she's forcing herself to believe that he could believe in this. And
He
she knows
could
deep down.
change.
Yeah, she knows. But she wants to.
Yeah.
She wants to believe in her brother really bad, but she knows what he's like. And the
Yeah.
title card when he's walking to Dolly's is the mission he forgot to mention to his sister. That's where they put the quotes. This movie is insane. They said so much with that. The mission he forgot to mention to his sister. That tells you so much.
They've been there for a while. They're established. They have a house. They built a church.
They built a church, which
He
Blaze
has a
helps them
boyfriend.
build, by
Like,
the way.
anyway, so he goes in with Dolly. They get drunk. He spends the night there. It's a Saturday night. So the next morning, oh no, and at the same time, Blaze
Oh, yeah.
Tracy is sitting in his tiny little house reading the Bible, my friend.
Reading the Bible.
He also has a
the
bunny.
Bible. Yeah, it's sitting on the steps of the church and he's
So
looking at
he's
his window
reading the
watching
Bible.
it.
He like sees a verse and he's like says like the first prayer of his life. He's like, Lord, if this is true, let it be true.
What he
You
is
know what I
sitting there
mean?
reading the Bible, smoking a cigarette, drinking a glass of whiskey. That is like
The ideal American
I go
man.
insane. Oh my gosh. But also God's ideal, right? Like he doesn't want like he doesn't care if you're doing those things. This is his first time ever reading the Bible, presumably. God's probably sitting there watching him. He's like, if you gotta do it smoking. Like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, baby. If you gotta do it drinking, do it drinking. I don't care. This is the first time Blaze has ever gone searching for anything in his life. Like, yes.
He's gonna find it. And it's like just the simplest little prayer. Please let this be real.
Matthew 21:22. If you ask in faith, whatsoever things you ask in faith, it shall be given. And he says, if you mean what you're saying here, I want her. That's what he says. And it is the most delicate prayer in his life because, yeah, he's like, it doesn't come off as like, give me her. It doesn't come off as a possessive way. It's
because then you wouldn't be praying over it. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to
and it
be
wouldn't
like
mean
reverently
anything.
ask, like,
How
I want
do
to
I
be
deserve her?
incredible.
How
And
am
then he goes
I
up to
going
his
to be a man
window,
worth having for her?
he peels back the curtains and just looks at the church. And you can tell that he's thinking, I'm gonna go there tomorrow, like for real. And it cut to his bunny just for a second. His little rabbit's just hanging out there. And then back to him looking out the window. I don't know why they did that, but it's like, it's
I don't
cute. He
know.
has a rabbit just at his
It's
house.
adorable.
Anyway, so this is happening during the same scene that the pastor is at Dolly's house in her bed, blackout drunk.
Actively self-destructing.
So we can see, oh, uh-oh, that's crazy. So then the next day,
Rise and
everybody goes to the
fall.
church for the sermon, and they're waiting outside, and people come up and they're like, why is everybody waiting outside? And they're like, we were kind of thinking the Reverend would come up and, you know, usher us in.
Lead us in.
Cute.
And Blaze
You're
Tracy's
well,
like standing there all imposing like, and Faith is clearly
and
worried.
in the nicest outfit in the world, by the way.
He
Every
looks
single
so
thing he's
sharp.
wearing has like floral embroidery on it. It's incredible. I don't know why people don't dress like this anymore.
He's literally the most attractive man that has ever existed
in the world. So anyway, they go to see what's going on, and instead of like just sending Faith to keep it kind of low key, they're like, we will literally all go over there together. So their whole congregation of like 30 people have to go over to Dolly's.
Everyone's going to see. Someone comes up
and
to
walk in.
Yeah.
So it's like Silk Miller's bar, right? And then he has like private rooms above. That's where they are. So they have to all go into the bar. And this is part of Silk Miller's plan, right? This is why he was doing it with Dolly, because he's like, I need more people to buy drinks. I'll get all the churchgoers in on Sunday. Reverend's not there. Might as well party, right? Because he's a thinker.
He's a business.
So they literally all go in. The entire congregation goes into the bar. And they're like, where's the Reverend? And he's like, I don't know. Look upstairs. So they all go upstairs to Dolly's room. And she and the Reverend are just passed out because they drank all night.
So much. And if this movie were made, I mean, they're fully clothed. But like,
well, she has a little off the shoulder.
He's in his suit still, though.
It was made in 1916. So
it was made in 1916.
The most lewd you could be is showing a little bit of your shoulder.
Yeah, they didn't, because
you're gonna be on TV, you know.
You're gonna be on the TV. Yeah, we get the Hays Code. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, no, but like
anyway,
you can tell, like, that's, you know what they were implying.
Because it's again very subtle, but also not very subtle.
Yeah.
If you walk into a room and see the Reverend with one of the dance hall ladies sharing the same bed together, that's more than enough information, you know?
It's a lot. One might say too much.
You've got it.
For 30 people that are in that room.
They all crowd in there and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? And they get mad for some reason.
And Blaze looks up, and he has, again, the most expressive face in the whole wide world, but he's also shockingly hard to read at times.
He was like made to be an actor. It's incredible. Did you also know that he was in his late 40s for his first role?
Really?
Yeah. He's like Meryl Streep. He's like Meryl Streep.
He's so cool. Dude, he was raised a cowboy. He was raised in the Wild West. He grew up with a Native American tribe, and they taught him how to shoot a bow and arrow from a horse. He had like the greatest respect for the Native Americans and the Wild West and everything all the time. And he's so cool, and I love him so much, and he's my hero, and I love him.
Yeah.
He wanted to make, he made a lot of
cool
westerns.
Guy.
So seriously. Yeah. He was a cowboy. But God put him on this earth to make him an actor. And he couldn't have done that without his experience in the Wild West. And so that's why that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it also gives him a little more respect for, like, because a lot of Westerns at that time were very, like, they would very much villainize Indigenous people and Mexicans. And this one does a little bit in, like, one offhand comment that you're like, ooh, that doesn't age well. But other than that, like,
that's
not what it's about.
No, not at all. And yeah, most Westerns you think, oh, cowboys and Indians. No, not at all.
But they're subverting this. They're like, no. This is about the state of your soul, and we're gonna change your life right now.
Yeah.
In 63 minutes.
And oh boy,
It's incredible. Yeah.
He made all, he made all his westerns with the goal of not romanticizing the West either. He wanted to show it in all its gritty realism because that's what he grew up with. That's what his father and his grandfather lived. He knew that it was brutal and harsh at times and not sexy. It wasn't the idea that Bob
Right. Bob has this idea like, oh, there's all these beautiful women and there's horses and you can do whatever you want, but it's like it's hard work. You could say,
yeah, it's a tough life
if you wanted to, that he's representing the very best and the very worst of the Old West.
You
and that would be fine.
This movie, he's looking at the person on the bed and he's got one of those unreadable expressions. Yeah.
And Silk Miller comes up and is like, pss, 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 and he just looks at him. Again, predecessor to Shivigami, but you could say. It's incredible.
It's like warm. Here's what it is. It's fire. And so it's warm to the people who are like, oh, that's passion. That's he cares now. He cares. It's not anger about Bob, about the person. It's anger at Silk. So he tells a story
because he knows that guy's a manipulative little bastard. Everyone knows that.
He's scrinkly.
Like, of course he set this all up.
Yeah,
that's like his whole thing.
Silk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he knows Faith. And he knows Robert, and he knows she has something he doesn't. So I don't think he's terribly surprised, just disappointed.
Yeah. Which is worse.
Yes.
He's like, no, Bob, I'm not mad. Oh no. Blaze Tracey is disappointed in me. I'm going to tie myself onto a railroad track. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. So then and you get this sense that like everyone kind of knows, everyone definitely knows that Faith has more faith than Robert. But at this point, like, the mask is completely off and they all have to admit Faith is the leader of the church and Robert is just like a puppet. He's just there.
Yeah.
She's the only one who cares. She has been the whole time. She could never have fallen for this. And if he had told her, if he hadn't forgotten to tell her that it was going to happen, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She would say, oh, Dolly's actually going to get you drunk is the thing. Like, hammered. Like
so
smashed to bits.
Yeah. Enough where he's so ill. He can't walk, he can't speak, he can barely move. Like
he got alcohol poisoning.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's on the brink of death right now. And that's not a good look for a reverend on Sunday morning.
No, it's not ideal. So Blaze tells a quick story to the congregation. He's like, y'all remember Arizona? He's the best cattle roper in this side of Texas. I don't know. He gives a little story about how Arizona was the best roper they'd ever seen, but still sometimes the rope would break on him. And he's like, that wasn't Arizona's fault.
Wasn't Arizona's fault. As good as
it was just the thing he was using ain't no good.
He was depending on.
Oh.
It was what he was depending on.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. And so he helps Faith carry him out. And he goes to find the doctor, but the doctor's in Prairie Crossing. So he's like, okay, I'll go right to get the doctor. Meanwhile, Robert is panicking, probably drowning in a sea of guilt and panic, and I can't ever undo this. What have I done? They're never going to respect me again. I'm going to go I'm going to go wash this away again with a river of booze. So he goes to the bar. And everyone's like,
and he is also like incredibly hungover, so he's like, the only thing I can do is just drink more.
Yes. Yeah. And again, he's there for the popularity. So he sees people going crazy for him being there. Yeah, he's gonna do the thing that makes him happy. That's what he's done his whole life, just in church. So he's gonna do it now, just different setting. And I love that at this point the narrator kind of shifts tones with him a little bit. They labeled him the weakling when he was going into Dolly's room. I forgot about that. That's insane.
The lightweight.
He's
he's stumbling and lost in delirium, far past the point of sane thought. Like it's more pitying at that point that he at this point is more a victim than anything. He had no control over his actions because he was
because somebody spiked his drink.
Drunk.
Like he's out.
Yeah. Like
now the Reverend and everybody at the bar are becoming quite riotous. And they're egging him on. They're like, "Oh, let's see what he won't do." Like they just keep daring him, you know what I mean? So they're escalating this situation. Blaze is gone because he's trying to get to Prairie Crossing to find a doctor. And they're like, "Well, hey, he's the only guy that's ever stopping us. Let's go burn down the church. Wouldn't that be fun?" And the Reverend, like, I don't think he comprehends that that's what they're doing.
No.
So there's no way for him to stop them or to do anything, you know what I mean? Like, even if he had the physical capability to do it, he doesn't because he's drunk. He doesn't have the presence of mind to say, like, wait, my church that I built, that, like, the people of this town have worked hard on and, like, sacrificed their time and money to help build. You'd think he would care about that, but he can't because, again, he's far beyond the point of sane thought. He can't.
Yeah.
So they like carry him on their shoulders, like like light up their torches. It's crazy. They're having the time of their lives.
Hand him the torch, light it up, bitch.
He's just there. And then so the people who go to church hear about this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we have to try to stop them." So they're like standing, they've like made a fence around the church and they're like, "Over my dead body." And the people are like, "Okay."
Very different tone. Robert's got the torch. They're saying, we're not gonna, we don't want any shed blood, but you guys, like, we're gonna stand our ground. Blaze Tracey taught them courage, I think, because he's so cool. And they're like, we're not gonna let you touch the church. There's a scuffle. Faith is begging Robert, please just look at me. I need you to help me. Help me.
And he can't hear her. He's been swept away. They've given him the torch to burn down his own church, and he doesn't know. That's crazy. When have you ever watched a movie like that? Oh my gosh.
No, like, literally, I've never, ever seen this done. Ever. Where he's treated with contempt for as long as he has the ability to choose. And then the second that he gives that ability away, it's just pity because he's just a puppet at that point.
And it is like control. It could have been different if he wasn't such a minuscule person in the first place. You know what I mean?
He's a pathetic.
Like you have to make the judgment of like, this guy is so pathetic and he's so untrustworthy. Like that's a judgment call that you have to make. And then when he's in the position that he is being taken advantage of, you also have to recognize that he's being taken advantage of. And it's partly because he didn't build up his own character.
Yes.
But it can't be completely his fault anymore. So they don't vilify him for burning down his own church. It's just honestly sad. Like the narration stops. They're not saying like, look how stupid this guy is, but they're also not saying, look how sad this is. They just let you like feel it. He doesn't even know that this is what he's going to do today. Burn down his own church on Sunday. With his whole congregation watching.
His sister begging him not to. Holding him, begging him not to, and he can't. He literally can't.
He can't hear her. He can't comprehend that that's what she's saying.
Yeah. And it's devastating too because he never gets a chance to change. Because there's a scuffle, people start lighting the church on fire, a gun goes off, Robert is hit, and he's dead. He's killed. In Faith's arms, she's cradling him, and there's nothing she...
And she, like, runs out of the church just enough to be out of the way so they don't get catch on fire. But then that's it. She's just sitting like in the dirt and he's bleeding out to death. And the last thing that he ever did was refuse to look her in the eye and throw a torch at his own church. Like, hello? And this is kind of the last straw for her. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you would be like, I want to believe in this, so I've spent my whole life believing in this. I want to believe in this. But this is what it led to.
And the face of God seems turned away. That's what it says. I literally, like, I can't take this. It's so
It's the
much.
best movie ever. And we've never said that before about any movie.
And she just crumbles. She crumbles. She has had so much inner strength this entire time, but she
has fortitude. Yeah.
She just collapses, and she just lays there sobbing, holding his head in her lap, because she loved him enough to believe in him despite knowing the truth. Her love for him blinded her. Even still, though, she came out here to protect him, to make sure that he was comfortably settled, to help, because she's really his faith, the backbone of it, because she's been there behind him the whole time, kind of propping him up, and now she's exposed and raw. And broken. And Blaze is gone. So
and everything's on fire. And everybody's getting shot. Like,
and the whole congregation has
over.
Fled. They're gone. There's one person staying there with her, but everyone else just took off. So everyone abandoned her.
And they have to save their own lives, It's not like they were wrong for that, but it still just means that for her, there's nothing left. She left her mom and traveled all the way across the barren wasteland of a country to get here and be left alone.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, Blaze Tracey comes back.
Blaze Tracey comes back. Blaze Tracey comes back. He's like, where is she? And he's looking for her. He runs into someone, and they say, she'll be with her brother. She ain't the kind that leaves. Isn't that insane? She ain't the kind that leaves. I'm gonna shoot myself.
Anyway, so then Blaze has to go out in all this smoke and haze because, again, there's never rain in this town. It's so hot because of their location, but also because of their sin. You remember that from earlier? Crazy.
Yeah. And he finds her.
Everything's on fire.
Everything. They built a real town to burn down. Well, the churches.
This used to be a great nation.
This used to be a great nation. We used to do this. We did this in Blazing Saddle. Whatever, it's fine. So he's with her. He has someone stay with her to keep an eye on her. And he's like, I'll go deal with the rest of the town. And you think, that's cool. That's cool. He's gonna kill 10,000 people. And he's
single-handedly.
They're sitting next to the smoldering the church. And he stands up, and you see him just whoom, coming to, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. So he goes to Silk's saloon, and he's waiting outside the door, and one of the cards says the telltale silence, and that's okay.
That's awesome.
Okay,
yeah, they're like,
yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Can I tell you a title card that we missed?
Yeah.
Where all the Christians are running away so that they don't get killed. It says, the broken flight into the desert while evil and madness join hands in the triumph of victory. So that's interesting. So like we said, the whole film is a poem.
He looks plumb willing to kill. He's got his 2 guns. And he bursts into the saloon. I don't know, do you want to take this?
Sure. Basically, he's like, I'm going to kill all of you. Try me. And so they do, they scuffle a little bit, but really what ends up happening is that a chandelier falls down, it catches the whole place on fire, and now
he shoots it hard in the exit.
So and they're all in the building. And he's like,
building.
the chandelier falls. It catches on fire. Everybody's in there still. And they're choking on smoke and they're trying to get at him. And he's like, I'm going to kill you.
Yes. And he says, why is this bothering you guys? Shouldn't be bothering you. You should be used to the heat. If, like, yeah. Okay.
Because of how they're going to hell. Do you get it?
So he like herds them all into the back room and like they're all panicking. They're panicking, grade A panicking. And he's like, you deserve to be locked in here. I should. But I'm not going to. You know why? You know why? Because he's trying to be a good man for her.
Mm-hmm. Because he's changed. Because of love.
This is interesting. Blaze Tracey. Shoot, first do your dispute and afterwards. He lets them go. He lets them all live.
Corners them all in the back room and the building's on fire and he's like, he's got murder in his eyes and then he walks away. But it's still, I mean, obviously he's done like a lot of damage. The church is gone, the bar is gone. Those are the only two places anybody ever hung out, just up in flames, you know. So there's still gonna be a lot of rebuilding to do, but he don't care.
Everything else catches on fire.
He's leaving with his girl.
Yeah, he walks out of the building and it's on fire and there's fire raining down around him like missiles of hate. That's another title card. That's
yes.
Okay, like missiles of hate. He walks
like
out.
Missiles of hate, sure.
Like shield in his face. It's down like this, and he's like, and he looks so sad. Like I don't. This man, okay? He walks out.
Because he never cared about anybody before, but now he cares because of love, because of woke. So he comes back into town and everything's on fire and everybody's running away and he cares and so he gets sad about it. But it doesn't even matter. It's just a movie.
It literally doesn't. And the whole town catches on fire and again, they built a town for the purpose of burning it to the ground. They built the town for this they built it so they could light a match and set it ablaze. And they did
like,
that.
well, in the script we have to set it on fire, so what if we just like we just go out into the desert where nobody is, and we just build a town there so we can set it on fire? Because it's in the script. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Yeah.
Well, just another reminder again that his name is Blaze. He burnt the town to the ground, and that's okay. That's
fine.
Everything is burning down around him, and this scene goes on. It's like it's not quick. They linger on it. This town, Hell's Hinges has made itself proud. It got what it deserved. He's cleansing it. He's burning the town to the ground. He's done. He goes and he collects faith, and it's kind of like trying to pick up a puddle of goo a little bit because
she wants to reach out to him, but she also wants to stay with her brother. Yeah, she spent her whole life with him. And he's dead now, you know? So then Blaze is like, well, I'll take him too. So he loads up the horse with the dead brother. And they go out into the wilderness to give him a proper burial, and Faith loses it, which is awesome.
But
oh my gosh, it's so good, because the whole time she has been the backbone of this movie. She has been the only character who believes in anything. And now it's kind of, maybe it's crumbling down. At the end of the movie, it's like, you think she probably still believes. But it's a little ambiguous. Yay! I love ambiguous endings. We give him a little burial, you know, and he, like, she's falls on the ground and she's weeping, and Blaze just respectfully stands there and waits for her, you know. He's like, this is not my time to step in and try and comfort her. I just need to be here. And then when she's ready, she's ready. And he stands up and he always has one arm around her waist and the other arm stroking her hair a little bit.
Her hair, because she fits so perfectly there because she's so small. Before he holds her though, he says another little prayer, a little tiny one. He says, do you remember how before he says, God, if you really mean this, please give me her, let me have her. And now, you know what he said?
That prayer is a little bit answered, but because he changed, right?
Yeah. Do you know what he says in this second prayer? Do you know what he says? He says, God, please let her be happy. This is, if nothing else, please just let her be happy. That's all.
Because once you have, like, it is a really beautiful progression of his understanding of what faith is and what it can do for you, right? If you believe that you can be in this relationship with a person that you really like, now you have the mindset of like, well, if I like her and I believe that I could be with her, I should spend more time where she is. I should start doing what she likes to do, right?
Yeah.
So he changes himself into this kind of person who could be with her, and now they're at this moment where they're the only two people left in the whole world, basically.
Whole world.
So he doesn't
Ever.
have to pray for that anymore, but he also doesn't want to because he's gotten to know her as a person. So he can just
Yeah.
pray for her well-being instead of
If
praying for
she,
himself because he's progressed past that stage, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's true of a lot of people. Like when you're starting out, you just want to know, like, for me, like, what am I supposed to do? Is this true for me? Is this right for me? And then over
yeah.
time, you can kind of start thinking about other people more and hoping that whatever you do and whatever God does to help you will be for the other people that you're thinking about and not just you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's fine. And then they get up to leave and he's holding her and he says a beautiful line about the future because this whole movie is a poem and also a
Definitely.
graphic novel and also a Lord Huron album apparently.
That's true. I have to find the exact quote because
Because it's
all of the
perfect.
it is. Yeah. This whole movie is insane, but this
Yeah.
one is like it's okay. It's fine. Oh my gosh, here it is.
It's okay. This is honestly like the middest quote of the whole movie. It's fine. It's okay. It's just okay.
Over yonder hills is the future, both yours and mine. It's calling, and I reckon we'd better go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, that's okay. That's fine. Um, both yours and mine. It can be separate if you need. It can
Mhm.
be my future and it can be your future. Either way, we both need to go to it. We
Yeah.
can't be. We can't stay here. We need to go. We need to move. Says the
I
word.
love when people say reckon. I reckon that this. I mean, that's awesome. Neil does that, and I think
All right.
that's awesome. And more people should say that.
Did you? That was the most perfect timing in the world. I said, I love the word yonder, as you said. I love the word reckon.
Hmm. These are the two greatest words in the English language. And the fact that
Yeah,
people don't
and
say them anymore is the reason that we're in the depths of depravity that we are now socially.
to be a great nation. We used to have
We
movies
used to
like that.
say, over yonder hills is the
I
future. I reckon we better go. Now what do we say? Skippity riz. I don't mind that actually because it's for children.
that was pretty good too. Yeah.
I mind I mind when grown-ups say things that are cringe, but I don't mind when children do it because that's what cringe words are for. Thank you.
Yeah.
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 Every generation of children from the beginning to the end of time will want to separate themselves from adults and think, what if we do something that's a joke that they don't get? Always, right? So that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time is a beautiful circle.
Yeah.
So Hell's Hinges,
Ugh.
it is a perfect
Yeah.
movie. I
Whoa,
did
two
it.
stamps, so you know she means it.
Yes, and it's on fire. One day when we make the graphic,
That
it'll
one will be
be
on
there.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. It'll be maybe like the Mad Max Fury Road Chrome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's um a revelatory experience in 1,000 different ways. It changed my life, changed the trajectory of everything, and also who I am as a person. It got me to start listening to Lord Huron because I knew some of their songs, but then I was like, okay, clearly I'm missing out.
Yeah. There must be something more. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so perfect. Like the story is so like genuinely interesting and like an insightful look at not only what things were like at the time, but like human nature at its most basic. Is
Yeah.
like, what do you believe in and what are you going to do about that? Right. It's really good to look at. It's nicely composed, even though it's old, as if that wasn't like kind of the main thing that people were concerned about because it was so new. So they were like, how can we do this really well? Right.
Yeah.
Um, the acting is cool, the story is cool, it's nice to look at, and it's so much fun, and it has like just the right amount of like emotional range that you
Yeah.
have like a whole experience when you're watching it. And
Yeah.
it's a tragedy, I guess, but it's also like so awesome, you know?
So
Like you just
wholesome.
end feeling so like uplifted and hopeful, even though the most devastating thing in the world has just happened. And that's hard to do, but damn if they didn't do it. Man.
They did it, and they did it a lot. They did it.
Yeah, they
They
did
did
it
it.
really good.
Yeah. I just can't imagine my life without this movie now. I, it's so weird to me too, and I texted you this earlier, but it is weird to think that they invented the art of film. The first movie ever made was in 1888, right? By
Mhm.
Louis.
The train.
Uh, it was just the people dancing. What? Of the train. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. We know.
Yeah,
We've all seen it,
we've all seen it.
and it's so crazy to think that the art of film was perfected. I mean, just 12, 28 years later, it's, and to think we've fallen so far because they made Age of Ultron in 2015.
And why would they do that?
I mean, 99 years after the perfect movie was created, Joss Whedon thought, what if I burn it all down to the ground and then piss on it?
What if I put a black mark on the name of cinema forever? You know?
Yeah.
I
Joss,
just might.
I'm gonna blaze Tracy you for legal reasons. This is not a joke. This can be used as evidence in a court of law, etc., etc.
Hmm. I have nothing to hide. I'm proud of what I've done.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so end of the film. Law and religion both have no place in Hell's Hinges, and that
Right.
is,
Because what I said before, how it's a prophecy.
or how it's a prophecy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that I said that. Ah.
yeah. I listened to you when you.
Aw, thanks. Life is so beautiful.
Oh, that's so true. We have this movie, and we have the killers.
And a combination of the two will be coming on October 1st. It's already scheduled. But I just had to not post those before we talk about the movie. That's ridiculous. But now it's funny because it'll be the 27th and then the 29th and then the 1st, which is every other day.
The 29th is it is Silent Film Day, first of all, and that would be,
Oh, cute.
yeah, yeah. So that could be fun if we did it on Silent Film Day, but also that is the anniversary of the first time I ever watched it was on September 29th, 2021.
Well,
No,
it's beautiful.
I love you, Blaze Tracy.
Hi.
If you're watching this, hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, yeah, no, I didn't really emphasize that as much, but he is the perfect man.
That's true.
I,
I think we
like,
probably said it, but again, like, you
j-
can't overstate this. Man of all time.
yeah.
Blaze Tracy,
Again,
played by William S. Hart.
I how am I ever supposed to get married? How am I ever gonna fall in love knowing
Your life
that
could be like this. Yeah.
yeah, like, people talk about, like, oh, the ideal fictional boyfriend, and we talked about it with Trinice a couple months ago, and it's always like the ideal fictional boyfriend never lives up because in reality they're kind of abusive and gross, and like it just never really works out. It only works well in fiction. But then you
Mhm.
have the genre, and that it's like Blaze Tracy and Samwise Gamgee, and like, where are they? Because that would translate really well in real life if they existed and if they would hold my hand.
Please.
Anyway,
Would you
that's the end.
please?
Thanks for doing this. This was really fun.
It was really good. We got our wiggles out. Happy
Yeah.
time. Happy style. Well, I
Cool.
wish we could do a preview of what we're talking about next, but it's kind of like watching the movie where you just need a minute to reflect.
Yeah.
So next time will be a surprise for everyone.
Woohoo! I love surprises.
Yay!
I don't really.
I like being in charge of surprises and I get to plan them and implement them. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
most fun part. Like being surprised isn't it's like whatever. But being the person planning a surprise is so much fun.
It is. I've
I
been
think
getting
for surprise birthday parties, it should be your birthday and you get to plan a surprise for somebody else.
so fun. That's how the Hobbits did it. I mean, it wasn't surprises, but for their birthday, they threw a party for everybody and they gave away presents. So why aren't we doing that?
Because of woke, probably. Everyone go watch this movie. It's only 1 hour long and you can find it for free on many websites because it's part of public domain. And you can watch it with or without music, or you can pick whatever music you want. It doesn't matter. It's so good.
If you watch it on YouTube, it has stringy music accompanying it, and if you watch it on Internet Archive, it has no music,
It
and
has
that's
no
also really,
music.
yeah.
Yay.
Woohoo! I'm gonna go watch it right now.